If you haven't watched the previous parts yet, make sure to watch them first so you can feel the full story. The grass trembled. Scarclaw had barely disappeared into the tall savannah when the ground behind Ranger Daniel shook again. This time, it was stronger, heavier, and far more violent than Scarclaw's roar. Daniel turned slowly, his breath frozen in his lungs. Another roar rolled across the plains, but this one was different. Deeper, heavier, older. Even Scarclaw, the undefeated king, had paused somewhere in the darkness, listening. Something had entered his kingdom. Something powerful enough to challenge him. Daniel crouched low behind a large rock and raised his binoculars. The tall grass rippled like a wave, moving against the current. A massive dark shape moved through it, silent, deliberate, and frighteningly smooth. Then, a head rose above the grass line. It wasn't a lion, he recognized. Not a hyena, not any predator Daniel had ever seen in this territory. It was a rogue male lion, but unlike any rogue seen before, he was enormous, nearly Scarclaw's equal in size. He had a thick, blood-red mane that seemed to glow under the moonlight, and his shoulders were covered in old scars from battles with buffalo. But it was his eyes that were most terrifying. They seemed to burn with a cold, relentless rage. Daniel whispered the name the local tribes feared, Redmane, the killer of prides. This was a lion known for destroying entire families, taking over territories not to rule them, but to shatter them. He was a force of pure destruction, killing anything that challenged him. But he had never, ever crossed into Scarclaw's hunting grounds. Until now. In the distance, Scarclaw stopped, his huge silhouette lit faintly by the moon, his ears angled forward, catching every sound. His long tail froze, perfectly still. Every muscle on his powerful body tightened. The king had sensed his challenger. Redmane lifted his chin and released a slow, rumbling growl that vibrated through the earth. It was a direct provocation, a declaration of war. The kind of growl that said, "Your throne is mine now." Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. He knew exactly what was coming. Two of the deadliest lions alive were about to fight for a kingdom that was only big enough for one. The entire savannah held its breath. Even the winds seemed to stop, waiting for the inevitable. Scarclaw moved first. He was silent, powerful, and radiating an aura of pure confidence. Every step he took showed exactly why he ruled these plains. His massive paws crushed the dry grass as if it feared him. His famous black mane flowed behind him like the shadow of a storm. And his long, twisted claw, the one that had inspired his name, glinted sharply in the moonlight. He walked straight toward Redmane. There was no fear, no hesitation, just the certainty of a king defending his home. Daniel whispered to himself, "Oh God, this is going to be a war." The lions stopped, only 10 feet apart. They began to circle each other slowly, every muscle flexed and ready to explode. Scarclaw's golden eyes were locked onto Redmane's burning stare, a silent battle of wills before the physical one began. Redmane struck first. Lightning fast swipe aimed at Scarclaw's face. Scarclaw dodged, but just barely. The force of Redmane's strike was so immense that it shattered a small branch on the ground behind him. His power was monstrous, Scarclaw answered, not with a swipe, but with a roar sound louder than thunder that shook the very air. Redmane roared back, his voice filled with a raw, bloodthirsty fury. Then they collided. Claw against claw, jaw against jaw, raw power against raw power. The impact echoed across the plains, a bone-jarring crack that made the ground under Daniel tremble. Dust and dry earth exploded around the lions as they fought, two massive bodies slamming into one another, teeth snapping, claws slicing through the air with lethal intent. This wasn't a fight for food or a simple dispute over territory. This was a fight for a kingdom, for a legacy, for the right to rule. Scarclaw lunged, his timing perfect, and slashed his signature claw across Redmane's shoulder, leaving a deep, bleeding wound. Redmane roared in pain, staggering back for a moment. For a split second, it looked like Scarclaw, the reigning king, would win. But Redmane had not come to this battle unprepared. He had come for a throne. With a sudden, explosive burst of strength, he rammed his entire body into Scarclaw's ribs, a brutal, bone-crushing impact that knocked the great king off balance. Scarclaw stumbled something he almost never did. In that instant of vulnerability, Redmane pounced. Daniel's eyes widened in disbelief. No, this can't be happening. Redmane sank his teeth deep into Scarclaw's thick-necked mane, trying to use his weight to force the king to the ground. But Scarclaw, even injured and off-balance, resisted with the primal power of a beast who had survived 100 battles. He twisted his body with incredible force. He roared in defiance. He slashed wildly with his famous claw, and this time it found its mark, slicing right across Redmane's face. Blood sprayed through the air. Redmane reeled back, momentarily blinded by the pain. This gave Scarclaw the chance he needed. He rose again, breathing heavily, blood dripping from his own wounds, but standing tall. The battle wasn't over. It wasn't even close! The two monsters circled again under the pale moonlight, both wounded, both exhausted, but both still burning with untamed fury. This was no ordinary lion fight. This was the night two. Kings battled for the throne of Africa. Daniel watched in silence, his heart pounding, knowing just how much was at stake. If Scarclaw lost, the entire ecosystem would change. Redmane was not a protector like Scarclaw. He was a destroyer, a killer. He would turn Scarclaw's balanced kingdom into a chaotic wasteland. The fate of countless animals depended on the outcome of this single fight. But as the night grew darker and the two lions prepared for their next clash, another roar echoed from the far ridge. Daniel spun toward the sound, his senses on high alert. Another lion? No! This was not a lion's roar. It was something deeper, louder, older. It was a roar that made even Scarclaw freeze mid, a sound that made Redmane, the pride killer, look toward the darkness with uncertainty. Daniel's blood ran cold. He felt a new kind of fear, a primal dread that had nothing to do with the two lions in front of him. What? What kind of creature is that? The savannah trembled again, more violently this time. A new presence was entering the battlefield, something far more dangerous than both lions combined. And it was coming straight toward them. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to do it now and don't miss the next part of this incredible story.